Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope you are doing well. Today we are going to talk about the history of the Philippine educational system in the Spanish period, year 1521 to 1896. Let us also see how the nature and character of Philippine society are reflected in the education process in different periods of Philippine history. As we talk about the Philippine educational system, just remember this sociological concept, which is the focus of this lesson, that education is a function of society and such what are taught in schools arise from the nature and character of society itself. During the Spanish time, it was the time that education was formal and organized, but it was authoritarian. It established schools from the primary levels to the tertiary levels of education. This is the time when there is elementary, high school, and college, but the school for boys, collegios, and girls, beaterio, are separated. It focused in the Christian doctrines. Christian Doctrines. It is a first book printed in the Philippines in 1593 in xylography and written by Father Juan de Plasencia and Father Domingo Nueva in Tagalog and Spanish. Wealthy Filipinos class, or also called as the Ilustrados, were accommodated in schools. Missionary teachers, friars, replaced the tribal tutors. As what I have mentioned a while ago, the tribal tutor is those who function as a healer or a miracle workers. Catholic doctrine schools that were set up initially became parochial schools which taught reading and writing along with catechism. I've experienced this one when I was elementary days. There are catechists every Tuesday at 3 p.m. at till 4 p.m. who take part as a teacher and their topic are of course related to spiritual beliefs. Education Decree of 1863 mandated the establishment for pre-primary schools in each town, one for boys and one for girls, with a precise number of schools depending on the size of the population. That's all. Thank you.
Methods of teaching: catechetical instruction, corporal punishment, rote memorization. So, what is catechetical instruction? It is about teaching religious principles by questions and answers. It is about studying the truths that church accepts in its teaching. Catechism, a manual religious instruction, usually arranged in the form of questions and answers, used to instruct the young to win, convert, and to testify faith. Catechism is the church teaching Christian faith, which each Christian should know and understand. The friars controlled the educational system during Spanish times. The students in the primary level were taught Doctrina Christiana. The colegio was equivalent to university education during the Spanish regime. So, during the entire period of Spanish rule, education was controlled by the Catholic Church. In the place of tribal tutors, Spanish friars and missionaries educated the natives through religion. Okay, now, corporal punishment. Corporal punishment is a discipline method in which a supervising adult deliberately inflicts pain upon a child in response to a child's unacceptable behavior and or inappropriate language. The immediate aims of such punishments are usually to halt the offense, prevent its recurrence, and set an example for others. The purported long-term goal is to change the child's behavior and to make it more consistent with the adult's expectations. In corporal punishment, the adult usually hits various parts of the child's body with a hand or with canes, paddles, yardsticks, belts, or other objects expected to cause pain and fear. So, the friars believed that for the Filipinos to learn fast, they should impose the strict discipline, which means applying corporal punishment. Now, rote memorization. Rote memorization requires the use of repetition to keep information in the brain. Two simple examples of rote learning include memorizing the alphabet and numbers. Again, rote learning is a learning process based on repetition. Another example of rote memorization is when students need to learn the periodic table. In copywriting, students learn successful copywriting techniques through repetition. Understanding or facts is not a requirement for rote learning. The students can learn and repeat verbatim material memorized without understanding, without critical thinking, or analyzing what they have learned. So, rote learning was used because it has been found to actually change the structure of the brain. By practicing rote learning exercises, learners are able to recall more information overall, and often they can retain it for life.
Good morning once again, everyone. So I am here to continue the different contribution during Spanish era. So as we remember that Jane Marie already discussed some of the Spanish contribution, and I am also here to give more contributions about Spanish. But there are a little bit differences and probably their contribution and their rules is being portrayed or being emphasized. So, as we all know, education during the Spanish regime and its colonial has an effect to every Filipino. And most of the archipelago underwent a depth cultural religious transformation from various native Asian cultures and Islamic or animist religious practices and Western cultural, including the Catholic faith. Spanish education played a major role in that transformation. So, the first contribution rules to Spanish is that the friars controlled the educational system. So, during the early years of Spanish colonization, education was mostly religion oriented and controlled by Roman Catholic Church, and Spanish friars and missionaries educated the natives through religion with the aim of converting indigenous population to the Catholic faith. So, in this matter, education was still in the early stage of development during the Spanish period. Even by the late 19th century, the Spanish language was still unknown to a great majority, and they were literate in their own native dialects. And the Spanish aristocracy tried to distinguish themselves from the idioms with the use of language and level education. So that is why the reason missionaries look charged in teaching, controlling, and maintaining the rules and regulations for them to secure every contributor since Franciscans arrived in this time and immediately taught the people how to read and write besides imparting to them important industrial and agricultural techniques. So during this time, Franciscan friars controlled everything to maintain the rules and regulations. Then, parochial schools were led by Dominicians and Jesuits. So in here, lots of schools being established. First is the Colegio de Santa Potencia was the first college for girls that opened in the Philippines in 1589, and it was followed by another school for women, the Colegio de Santa Isabel, that opened in 1632. Other schools and colleges for girls were Santa Catalina, Santa Rosa, La Concordia, and etc. And several religious congregations also established schools for orphan girls who could not educate themselves. During 1590, the Universidad de San Ignacio was founded in Manila by the Jesuits, initially as the Colegio Seminario de San Ignacio. And on April 28, 1611, the Universidad de Santo Tomas was founded in Manila, initially named as the Colegio de Nuestra Señora del Santísimo, and later renamed as Colegio de Santo Tomas. San Carlos and Santo Tomas maintain a friendly rivalry over the claim to be the oldest university in Asia. So the University of San Carlos makes the claim of tracing its root to the Colegio de San Ildefonso, founded by the Spanish Jesuits Father Antonio Sedeno, Pedro Quereno, and Antonio Pereira in 1595. The Jesuits also founded the Colegio de San Jose in 1601 and took over the management of a school that became the Escuela Municipal in 1859 and later renamed Ateneo Municipal de Manila in 1865 and now the Ateneo de Manila University. And the Dominicans, on their part, had the Colegio de San Juan de Letran in 1620 in Manila, and all of them provided courses leading to different prestigious degrees like Bachelor in Arts, that by the 19th century included science subjects such as physics, chemistry, natural history, and mathematics. So all these constitutions play a significant role during Spanish era. Up until now, they are known to everyone whom known as the most productive schools. And by this, we already know why this being built and exist that are currently useful at this moment. And lastly, the establishment of normal schools for male teachers under the supervision of the Jesuits. So from the parochial schools, we will now proceed to the normal schools. So the schools before were exclusive for the Spaniards. Then the Filipinos were only able to enter the school in the late 19th century. So the first established schools were exclusive for the boys, and the Augustinians built the first school in the Philippines situated in Cebu in 1565. That was the college equivalent to a university during the Spanish regime. So the first college school for the boys was the Colegio de San Ignacio, which was established by the Jesuits in Manila in 1589. And in that year, the Escuela Pia that was entrusted by the government to the Jesuits, then the University of Santo Tomas opened in 1611 by the Dominicans. So the San Jose de Letran for the orphan boys in 1603 established these normal schools that give opportunities for every Filipino people to enter this school. One of which is a nautical school that was created on January 1, 1820, which offered a 4-year course of study, and that includes subjects as arithmetic, algebra, geometry, trigonometry, physics, hydrography, meteorology, navigation, and pilotage. And so they are able to establish different courses for male teachers that offered local and foreign scholarship to Filipinos, professorships, and finance trips of scientists from Spain to Philippines. So to sum it all up, the effect of education to the Filipinos was only compelled to the friars' influences from their lessons based on the Christian doctrines or teaching that one major failure of the education system of the religious congregation was the withholding of every Filipinos to learn other bodies of knowledge. And education during the Spanish regime was privileged to every student. And now education was only a means to remain colonizer that was religion-centered and was suppressed and controlled. So that would be all for my report.